But we do obviously want to talk about what happened this weekend, and we got to give a big shout out to Mo Jassim for putting forth the sequel to 127 hours, and that was 17 hours of the ADCC Dallas Open. So we'll kind of go through some of the results. I'll be honest, again, I didn't watch a lot of this. You know, I tried to, but 17 hours, fuck me. That's always going to be the problem with these open style events. It's IBJJF, it's like, unless it's if it's a 2.5 hour window, I'm going to watch the entire thing. You know, I'm going to watch everything. I'm going to watch undercard through to the end. If it's 17 hours, no one's getting through that. Eh? That's the Tour de France for Jiu-Jitsu. But of course, most of these events thrive on your friends and family subscribing to the platform to watch you compete. Flow Grappling had a text message notification system. Didn't work. You know, meant to text you when your preferred grappler. The grappler you wanted to watch was meant to be on because it was a mess going through it. But I will say the replays were the way to do it, really. Like, it was hard to find the match live, but they had the replays up immediately. So most of the time I just went through the brackets and clicked the matches I wanted to watch. But yeah, it was a handful. Also, we got to give a shout out to UFC Fight Pass, one of the most incredible business decisions I've ever seen. They had ADCC on UFC Fight Pass. They put their logos on the mats, and then it ended up on Flow Grappling. And now Flow Grappling stream ADCC events with the UFC Fight Pass logo on it, which I think that's pretty incredible on Fight Pass there. I don't know how they did that. I don't know how they got away with it. I still don't know the story about what happened with ADCC being on Fight Pass, and then it wasn't. I will say it benefits me because, again, I have Philippe Pena coming up. When we agreed to do the match, it was meant to be ADCC rules. And points are not my forte. So when ADCC dropped off of UFC Fight Pass, returned to Flow Grappling, they said, hey, we're not going to do ADCC rules now for obvious reasons. I still don't know what happened there, but we went to EBI rules, which is, again, something I think I have a little more experience in. Still, we'll probably lose the match, but I think I have more experience, more chance winning in this rule set than in an ADCC point style rule set. Because, guys, to be honest, I don't fucking know the rules. You know what I mean? If I do another ADCC to be my 5th one, I still don't know the fucking rules. It's complicated. IBJJF, complicated. I feel like we need something a bit simpler. That being said, ADCC produces exciting matches. It gets the competitors in, it gets the spectators in. So really, in terms of alternatives, there really isn't an alternative yet, as we speak right now. But let's go through one of the most interesting things about this event, right? Giancarlo Bodoni competed in the Open, which I want this to be a message to all up-and-coming competitors that dream of a life of riches. They say to themselves, oh, if I could only win ADCC, all my dreams will come true. I'll be driving a Toyota Corolla. I'll be living in a mansion. I'll pretend to be giving away cars. You think you're going to be rich, you think you're going to strike it rich if you win ADCC. Unfortunately, like all combat sports, all things in the world, it's a popularity contest. It's not measured on skill. Giancarlo, one of the best ADCC performances ever. In my opinion, the man should be making more money. He shouldn't really be doing these opens. It's a big risk. It's a big risk, you know, like obviously he loves competing, and it's experience for him in the rule set. Obviously looking to win more championships, but really, yeah, I don't think the risk is worth the reward. If you're a ADCC champion, competing in an Open. An Open's like competing in
a Naga.
Naga IBJJF event. You know, like Mo gives out some prize money. Shout out to Mo for doing that. I really respect that decision to pay the competitors that win. But really, I mean, again, you were an ADCC champion in our sport. That's like being an Olympic gold medalist. And then you go back to basically a regional event where you have to compete against up-and-coming killers. And for you, you're the reigning champ, and you have to go against these guys that it's like, if they beat you, they think their life's made. You know what I mean? They're headhunting. So first match of the day, and I don't know how this happened. Because obviously Giancarlo, part of New Wave, obviously Gordon, John Danaher, Gary Tonin, that is the New Wave team. Gordon and Adam Bradley always going back and forth on the internet, hate each other, right? And somehow Giancarlo, the ADCC champ, draws Adam Bradley first round. I'm not putting on my tinfoil hat, but that seems to be an interesting first round matchup, given that in that division, I would say those two guys were probably the biggest names in the division. And typically speaking, you'd want to split them up. I'm sure there's a reason that happened, but I'm just putting on my conspiracy theory hat. Most people would assume that the ADCC champ would blow through Adam Bradley. Adam Bradley, of course, world-class competitor, but he didn't medal at ADCC trials, as far as I know. They go out, they have the match, and it's a close match, guys. This is probably one of the most interesting matches of the event. I would watch this match, but Giancarlo gets on top, gets forced as a half guard. Adam Bradley's playing a tricky variation of lockdown, and he's proving quite difficult to pass. Proving difficult to pass Adam Bradley's guard. He gets to a leg drag position, but Adam Bradley hangs on. That's regulation. That's a 6 minutes. That's a 6 minute match. So we go overtime, 3 minutes to start standing. Giancarlo takes him down. Hit a nice drag on Bradley. Bradley held the wrist too long, was a bit complacent. Giancarlo hit kind of a loose arm drag, but was able to still get to top position, score 2. Now, here is a great example of the failure of my own knowledge, because I don't know the fucking rules here. As far as I know, if the top player initiates a submission threat, ends up on bottom, he doesn't lose sweep points. So say like I'm passing Freddie's guard, I dive over, latch onto Kimura, we have a bit of a scramble, Freddie ends up on top. That theoretically wouldn't be points to Freddie there in ADCC rules. In IBJJF rules, points. That's the difference there, right? Adam Bradley's on bottom, he's down by 2. Sets up a waiter sweep. Giancarlo goes for an Achilles lock, ends up on bottom. No points on the board. And you see Adam Bradley look at the score. You saw Giancarlo look at the scoreboard too, both trying to work out if there was points. IBJJF, the ref in the middle throws up the gang signs. You know pretty quick if you've been scored on or if you've scored. ADCC, the middle guy, the ref that's walking around the center, he doesn't throw up hands. So you have to look at the scoreboard. Sometimes the score can take a while. There's a team of referees that decide the points. They might have a discussion, and then the points go up. So it's a bit of a delay. Not as quick as IBJJF, but a bit more thorough. You got a bit more people sort of processing the decision. No points. Ultimately, Adam Bradley, at some point in this match, also locks up a outside heel hook, and he said there were a few pops on it. Got a couple nasty pops on that thing. Again, this is me saying to guys in Giancarlo's position, it's fucking risky doing these matches. You know, you're coming up against trained killers. For these guys, some of these ADCC Opens are the Olympics to them, you know? They might never make the actual ADCC Worlds. So yeah, it was an interesting match. It was funny because of the context. Obviously, Giancarlo's Gordon's teammate. Gordon hates Adam Bradley. That's one of the things if you're on Gordon's team and you come up against one of his enemies, you feel a bit of pressure there.
You better fucking win.
I felt the pressure. I remember I went up against Ronaldo Jr. and Gordon and Ronaldo Jr. would talk shit all the time to each other, and I was like, fuck me, I better not lose this guy. I'm going to hear about this shit in the gym, you know. But yeah, that was an interesting match. Giancarlo ended up taking out the division. After that match, he took it out. He took it out pretty convincingly, I will say. So maybe it was just a slow start. Again, people have high expectations for Giancarlo, given that his performance at ADCC, again, one of the best performances ever, and one of the best first-time performances ever. Not many people win trials and win worlds. Not many people do it in that fashion either. I think it was three out of 4 submissions, right?
Yep.
What other, honestly, Luke Griffiths did, was he the under 100 kilo division?
I believe so. He looked pretty good as well.
Yeah, I should have this up here, right? I got the Flow Grappling app, and guys, there will never be a problem with the Flow Grappling app.
It's one of the better pieces of our modern time technology, man.
All right, so I was wrong. Giancarlo wins the under 100.
Yeah.
Luke Griffiths, obviously a fucking massive cunt, wins over 100. Luke Griffiths, South African, he's pretty impressive, eh? He's got sick butterfly guard game, really high percentage finishes on the back. Super impressive. Again, he's a guy that went basically the ref's decision with Yuri Simões in his weight division for ADCC. Yuri Simões became the absolute champ. So another impressive new wave performance.
I think he won the absolute as well.
He won the absolute as well. Yep. He was able to beat. What's the guy that just lost to Lovato on WNO? Elder. He was able to beat Elder Cruz for the absolute final. Elder Cruz, again, another fucking
beast,
absolute monster. Under 91, that's the interesting division right now. I've been smoking a bit of crack, so I'm a bit light. I'd probably be doing the under 91 kilo division. But we saw some cool guys in there. We saw Stanley Rosa is a guy we used to train with in New York. He's from Bronx, but he would come into Enzo's. Vicious fucking leg locks, vicious Achilles locks. This guy would break my ankle on a weekly basis at Henzo's, but he had a match against Achilles Hosha. I don't even know how to fucking say it, but Achilles, obviously Wagner's son. I remember watching J-Rod and Achilles having leg lock battle. Jay's ripping on heel hooks and Achilles just giving him that dead stare like he feels absolutely nothing. And again, you can do that. Again, Achilles, a young guy, so like he's got a bit of flexibility there. But you come across a guy like Stanley Rosa. Stanley Rosa has a lot of power. He feels like he could break your shin bone with an Achilles lock. So he locks up on Achilles, this sort of knee bar variation. I would definitely recommend watching this match, but it's an uncomfortable watch. So he locks up this knee bar variation. Achilles is eating it. You see he's uncomfortable. There's a lot of pressure on the knee. Achilles tries to roll through, rolls himself into an inside heel hook and hesitates to tap. It was dead to rights. He hesitated. And that's because, again, he's had lots of matches where guys don't have great finishing mechanics. And he's eating heel hooks. This was not that time. He took a bad break. Yeah, he screams afterwards. So hopefully he heals up quick. Stanley made it to the final against Mateus Lutz. Mateus Lutz was a Marcelo guy. He, I believe, opened his own gym somewhere on the East Coast outside of New York. Mateus Lutz was a world-class competitor, and then he disappeared off the scene for a while because of, I think, opened his own academy, but now he's back in a big way. He beat Sean Yardimarco in the semis, and then he beats Stanley Rosa in the finals. I believe he hit a north-south choke.
Oh, shit.
So that was a super nice match. I think this is the second open Mateus Lutz has won. Lutz is tough as fuck. I competed against him at Polaris, put him in an inside heel hook, popped him pretty bad. This man ate it like it was nothing. And then we went to a decision. Boring match, I wouldn't recommend watching it. Now we'll talk about the under 83 kilo division. So Tarza took out this division, but we had a lot of interesting guys in this. John Blank's back competing. We had Rene Souza in there.
John Combs.
John Combs is in there. Very, very tough bracket. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else. Salazar from Legion was in there. Tarza takes out Salazar. That was a good one. Salazar's very crafty, very tricky grappler. That's a big win for Tarza there. Tarza was running through some of these guys, getting some quick submissions. Rene and John Blank did very well. John Blank ultimately came up against Tarza in the semifinals. And that was actually, this was a funny match actually. John Blank, he's made it to day 2 at ADCC. Like, he's an elite guy, and he made it there while working a full-time job. But nowadays, I think he runs his academy full-time. But he pulls on Tarza, and then they have this weird exchange where they go out of bounds after the points period. And Tarza stops, and I think the ref said stop, but John Blank just ran through him. And they slammed off the mats onto the basketball court. Again, ADCC, they don't stop shit too much and out of bounds. Like, you got to protect yourself at all times because you never know what's going to happen. He takes, and then Tarza ultimately ends up scoring 2 off a grappling exchange, I believe. Blank took a shot that wasn't set up. Tarza lashed on the front head. Blank didn't go for the takedown for 3 seconds, which would allow him to pull guard without losing points. He pulled guard very quick, and Tarza scored 2 off it. John Combs, a guy that was a killer back in the day. I remember in the gi, IBJJF gi, he kept hitting his fucking arm in guillotine variations. Yeah. He has a crazy guillotine. I don't know what he calls that, the comatine, the combat, God knows. The man smokes a lot of weed. He could call that thing anything. And when I say smokes a lot of weed, the jiu-jitsu community smokes a lot of weed. So if I say John Combs smokes a lot of weed, he smokes a fuck ton of weed. But he actually takes Taza's back in the finals. Taza's got 90 seconds left to come back.
He was down 2, right?
Down 2, yeah. So he's down 2 and he gets fucking knee-barred and it looks brutal.
Yeah. Also happened out of bounds.
Out of bounds, yeah. It was hard to see. I don't know what needs to be done with these matches, but it was like sometimes the action would look like it was like a fisheye lens or something.
Yeah, the camera was pretty grainy, I feel like.
Yeah, it was like far off in the distance, so you couldn't see too many of the details. But obviously, when you see the ADCC official vlogs, you'll see some of these matches up close, a bit more detail. But yeah, Combs secures the back, secures the points. Taza escapes the back. Sometimes when you're lazy, you're playing crab ride. You leave a hook in there. Fuck, they jump onto a knee bar, they rip it. Yep. Taza ripped it because he got it in under his lat, got it into his armpit there. Fuck. Combs hesitated and he limped off. Hopefully his knee's all right. Another shocking one that brings me back was Junior Casio got knee barred. Oh, yeah. He was playing some crab ride, got knee barred.
That was early in the day, like
early
the first fight. That was his first match or something?
I think he maybe won one and then straight into it.
Yeah, that was a upset for sure.
Under 76 kilos. So I believe this was our boy Pio. Pio, who trains with us from time to time, is a good friend of us at B Team. He's a Faraz Zahabi guy, lives up in Canada. I believe he lives exclusively off his cryptocurrency earnings. Whenever someone tells me that, I automatically assume drug dealer. You know what I mean? Because I only know people that lose money in crypto. But we go through it. Yeah, Pio actually took on one of our boys in the first round, which is pretty disappointing because Pio spent so much time here. Roman had to face him in the first round. Roman's a
beast, dude. Shout out Roman.
Beast, bro, beast. Honestly, I thought Roman was too small for this division, but he proved me wrong with his performance against Pio. I believe it went to ref's decision. They had a scrap. So tough first round for Roman, and it was a physically demanding first round for Pio, but Pio moved his way through. We had not as many big names in this division. Like we had Derek Rayfield. That's about one of the only names I recognize in 76. Oh, Ben Eddy as well, my bad. Yep. So we had Ben Eddy, Derek Rayfield, Pio. Those were the names, obviously, I recognize there. So Derek Rayfield and Ben Eddy, 210 Planet guys. Pio beats Derek Rayfield by decision. He beats Ben Eddy by also score, so by 2 points. He goes on to the final against M. Saints, Team Alpha Male guy by the looks of it. I don't recognize him, Michael Saints. And Pio takes out of the division, so props to Pio for that. Hopefully he comes back through here before he heads back to the cold, miserable northern hellhole of Canada. I only say that because I've never been to Canada. Who has? Why would you know? All right, so we go under 70 kilos. So some of the names I recognize here, DeAndre Corbet. Oh, yeah. He's fucking a jacked.
He's a beast, dude.
Jordan Holly. Going through again.
Corbet won the whole thing, right?
Yeah, Corbet won the whole thing. Corbet, he hit some fucking pretty cool moves. He's a good guy to watch. Your boy was in there, Reese from New Wave.
Yeah, that's the only match I watched from that division was Corbet beating Reese.
He's a Nashville guy, right?
Yeah. Now he's a New Wave guy. He used to be a Nashville.
Used to be a Nashville. So yeah, Corbet beats Reese in the semis. Yeah, Reese has been doing pretty well in some of these local events. Yeah. Competes a lot. So yeah, Corbet takes out 70. Corbet's definitely got a bright future. I mean, he's already doing it, you know.
He's a Nogi world champion, I think, right?
Nogi world champion, yeah. Minus 65 kilos. Here we go. So we had our boy Dorian.
Oh yeah.
All right, how do I say his last name?
Olivares, bro.
Olivares, yeah. So we got Dorian Olivares. Dorian, he's either 15 or 16. God knows.
I need to see the birth certificate on that one.
Yeah, we need to see the birth certificate because he does not feel 15, 16. He's on that Mika Galvao shit, eh? I love this guy coming in because he comes to the gym, his dad brings him in. He just fights to the death against everyone. Yeah. So again, under 65 kilos. So he's a little fella, but he's going to be big because, again, he's just still a child. Yeah. But he'll come in, he'll scrap with Nicky Ryan, Ethan, Damien, and even Heisem. So we'll put that on the YouTube shortly. But Dorian's one of the best wrestlers in the country for his weight division as well. And then he competes in jiu-jitsu as well. I'm not sure what his future intentions are. I mean, with that skill set, you'd have to imagine MMA. But just the level of physicality he brings to these grappling matches is the same physicality you see in wrestling matches. Typically, we don't see that in grappling because if you approach a match like that, you get tired because we have longer matches. So you usually can't maintain that pace. But Dorian, being a 16-year-old kid,
never ending gas tank on that kid.
Yeah, you don't get tired. That's the thing. I don't want to face anyone around the age of 18 because they don't get tired, you know? Like, you have that kid energy. It's kind of unfair. Obviously, another performance-enhancing thing, if you had steroids, autism, and you were a child, you would be basically unbeatable. But yeah, Dorian took out the division. No surprise here. I'm looking at this list, this opening list. I'm trying to see Jeff Real. He's
the guy from San Diego.
From San Diego.
Yeah.
Nick Ortiz was in here too. He unfortunately went down first round. Nick would be a tough match for Dorian for sure. Fabian Ramirez, our boy, we trained with him a bit. He was on the Who's Next reality show. Fabian made it all the way to the quarters, but lost in the semis. Dorian takes out Jeff, and then he takes out Logan Marshall, 10th Planet guy in the finals. 60 kilos, yeah, right. So Junior Casio, he ended up losing second round. He's probably the number one pick, number one seed. But he was the favorite to take out this division. I don't recognize too many of these guys in the 60 kilo division. Again, if you're that small, you're going to be hard to spot physically to begin with, you know, let alone pay attention to you competing. But yeah, 60 kilos, that seems like a big cut for Juni. So I remember him being a little bit bigger.
Big guy, yeah.
But who's this? Dylan Cameron, Gracie Baja was able to take out the whole division.
I have no idea who that is.
Can't say I've heard of him, but I will definitely tune in and watch his matches. Again, I told you, 17 hours of grappling. It's hard for us to do a recap straight after this event unless we have absolutely no lives at all. Obviously, Freddie doesn't exactly have much of a life, but of course he's a lazy fuck. And again, we had the UFC, we had ADCC, but most importantly, we had Black Mirror come out this weekend. And if you're going to ask me, am I going to watch the UFC, ADCC Open, or Black Mirror? I'm going to watch Black Mirror every time, single time.